A very good morning to you all. My name is Joel. Today, I have a small presentation, and since this month is September, whereby all the focus go on to dissemination on awareness about sickle cell disease, I also bring my contribution towards the subject of the month. We are all aware that sickle cell disease is a disease of inheritance, whereby the people carrying the gene or the trait of sickle cell have an ability to bring an offspring of sickle cell disease when the two people carrying the trait get a chance of delivering a child. Now, not all the children, these two people having the trait, will be having sickle cell disease. There are percentages and their fractions. That one I need us all to understand it. In the future presentations, I will be able to demonstrate that statement. Today, I am looking at a topic called sickle cell anemia. When I talk of anemia, basically, in a local language, I would say a person is not having enough blood. That's the common thing. In my local community, that's how people say. When they are talking of anemia, they're saying this person is not having blood. However, when we talk it in terms of medicine, we are looking at the reduced red blood cells, the reduced ability of the hemoglobin or the part of the red blood cells to carry out its normal functions. That is, the oxygen supply into the area where this oxygen is required for functioning. So we are looking at anemia in that line. However, let us all take it like someone is having less red blood cells that can carry the oxygen. Now, we all know that no human being who is alive can survive without oxygen. We breathe in, breathe out. So when I breathe in, I'm taking all the gases. When the gases go into my lungs, the blood, which is having that element which is going to carry my oxygen, is going to pick the oxygen from my lungs and take it, and then it will help my body to use it in the normal function. So when I'm talking about the anemias in sickle cells, I'm looking at this person with sickle cells is not having enough ability to pick the oxygen for the use in the body. And as we started, we said there is a form of an inherited gene somewhere. So with anemia, the person is unable to have the oxygen in his body that the body can depend on. Simple. However, when this person is having this problem in sickle cells, he will show some symptoms. This person can have quick tiredness. He cannot walk well on the hill. He cannot do his functions well. He's feeling fatigue. He's having some forms of difficulty in breathing. He can develop the jaundice. Jaundice is the yellowing of the mucous membrane, like in the eyes. Young people can have painful erections that is usually termed as priapism. Other people will have swollen spleen, that is splenomegaly. So it is swollen, and when you examine, you may find that even on top of being swollen, you feel like as if there are other hard substances into the spleen. One can also experience things like acute chest syndrome. So there are many things that are presented as symptoms with people who are having anemias secondary to sickle cell disease. When you look at anemias, you realize that word anemia, it is a group of disorders that affect the red blood cells. Like, for example, when I'm talking of sickle cell disease being an inherited gene, I'm now still saying that this gene is inherited. It is going to make a person who is now a sickle cell disease person have the red blood cell which is sickled. So when it is sickled, it means that this blood is going to die young. The red blood cell is going to die when it's still young. So when it dies, sometimes it clogs into small blood vessels and cause pain. It is going to cause a blockage, and again on top of the blockage, areas will not have enough oxygen, pain will come, and other effects will take place. Now, in this month of September, we need to know that anemias are very common in people having sickle cells, and they can be prevented. We may not eliminate it because someone is already born with it. I want us to know that whereas every age has an average level of hemoglobin. So hemoglobin is the part into that red blood cells responsible for carrying the oxygen. So every age will have an average of the level. People with sickle cells, you may find a person having his or her normal average as 7. So when someone is having HB7, you may find for him that is his normal. It is his normal in the sickle cell life. So you realize that when the 7 will reduce to 6, then he will be anemic in his sickle cell life. But when we are doing targeting, even when I find you at 7, I find you at 8, I always target on increasing the level of hemoglobin so that your life can be in a better form. So how do we do it? We do it by ensuring enough drinking, like enough drinking water, good feeding, balanced dieting, increasing on vitamins that you are taking in your body, doing exercises that a person can afford to do, and also taking the prescribed medicines. For example, these children, these clients, they get folic acids to help them make blood. Others use hydroxyurea. Others, they use other drugs to prevent them from falling sick. Like we give Fancida to prevent malaria. Because when someone gets malaria, the blood cells are destroyed and then it causes anemia. So the use of the prevention methods to malaria also prevents anemia. And at the end of it all, we also need, to keep giving. We need to keep giving regular education on the anemias so that a client understands and lives by fighting to prevent anemia. Anemia is a killer to people living with sickle cells. We don't need to lose our clients. We need them to have life. Even when, as of now, the cure is not yet fully established, but I'm sure scientists are still working around the clock to make sure that the cure for sickle cells is discovered. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a month when we all need to stand up and fight sickle cell disease through creating awareness. Awareness of sickle cells. During this time, we can look at those small subsets that are in sickle cells, like the anemias and those other elements that make people with sickle cells have a bad health. Never forget, the World Health Organization defines health as a complete well-being of an individual, physically, mentally, socially, and not a mere absence of a disease or infirmity. Now, if this person has sickle cell already is unhealthy, we need to fight and make sure that even if someone is not healthy, at least he has a promise. You and me, it's our responsibility to ensure that we reach there, and together we'll reach there. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Joy.